Artists Unlimited, where dreams begin, stars are born, and lives are changed, one act at a time. Hi. What you just saw is a very large group of people who have made a highly positive difference in my life as well as each other's. In just a moment, you will hear from just a few of them talking about their experiences in both cast and staff positions and how Artists Unlimited has changed them as a whole. You will be taken from the very beginning of Artists Unlimited, leading all the way up to where it is now. I love every single one of these people, and hopefully after watching this documentary, you will too. So, sit back, relax, maybe even have a snack in hand, and may your hearts melt as I take you through the wonderful world of Artists Unlimited. But first, a word from our sponsor. No, seriously, I talked to one of our sponsors, Peter Parts, along with some of the staff from Artists Unlimited, to see if they could shed some light on how the organization even started.
The reason, it was actually very simple. A friend of mine, Ed Schramm, had been talking about putting together a group like Artists Unlimited for quite some time. And he approached me and he said, hey, could you help out? We need some help with funding. And he explained what he wanted to do and how it would help, and it's like, how could you not help? And it just made a big difference. It was really quite an honor to be able to help in the beginning, and it, I think, made a lot of difference, not only in the lives of the people at Artists Unlimited we're helping, but in the lives of the people that I bring.
Started when Ed Schramm and Deb Schramm observed a young boy kind of dancing in the aisles at a Grease Athena program, and Mr. Schramm asked his mother if he participates in programs like that, and she basically said, no, nobody wants my son in anything like this. And when he heard that, he kind of made it his mission to find a program. When he couldn't find one anywhere in the country, he said, we're going to start one.
Artists Unlimited began with Ed Schramm hearing a special needs person singing all the songs in one of the shows I did in 1996, I think it was, at Kodak. We were doing Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And this young man was singing everything, and Mr. Schramm said to the family, he needs to be in shows. They said, well, there's nothing for people like him. Okay. So he immediately started putting something together. It took him about 5 years, and started Artists Unlimited.
Of course, no theater group is complete without the actual group. These actors are a wonderful bunch, and a few agreed to sit down with me to talk to me about their experiences and how they themselves have changed, starting with the first one I ever met, Dejan Moon. He is actually quite the experienced actor. How many shows have you done with Artists Unlimited so far?
I believe that this is actually, this next coming year is going to be 14.
All decade up. I think this will be my either 11th or 12th year now.
I guess when I was around 13, maybe 14 years old.
It's about 10, 11 years or so?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so I have been a part of Artists Unlimited for about, if you count the show we just did, Little Mermaid, I would have been a part of this group for about 7 whole years now, because I've done 7 shows. So yeah, about 7, maybe 8 years, technically.
I've been with Artists Unlimited for 5 years.
So I've been in since Peter Pan, so that would have been, 6 years ago? And I believe Lauren joined 2 years ago?
Well,
3 years ago, Beauty and the Beast?
I actually started volunteering backstage during Peter Pan, helping out with hair and makeup and costumes with my mom. And then I joined the cast 3 years ago.
What do you like most about being part of the group?
Well, it's kind of like being part of a family, a reunion. You get to see all your friends, the people that got to help you in the plays, like Sarah, Carl, Courtney. They're all amazing, and I got to see, I got to be a part of something really amazing that's kind of part of me.
It's been awesome, and now people are starting to notice me everywhere. Okay.
What has it been like being part of the group?
Absolutely amazing. So no matter what happens, everybody's super supportive. everybody else, I know that everybody says this all the time, but it's because it's true. It's like one of the main reasons that all the kids like it. And it's like so accepting, they accept everyone. They don't care where you came from, they don't care about your past, they don't care about your future, they just want to have as much fun as possible with you. And I don't know, it's just really supportive and it feels like a real family whenever you're doing a play.
Being part of Artists Unlimited has been absolutely amazing for me, because before I joined the group, I was a really, really shy kid. I often isolated myself. I wasn't very welcomed at most of the other places that I was at, including most of the schools that I went to. At least I didn't feel that way. And then, come 9th grade, I meet Mr. Carl Wager, who is the director of the theater group, it turns out, and he offers me a position, or role rather, in the next show they were doing. In this case, it was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. This was the second time they were doing it because it was their 10th anniversary. So it's been a great experience, great people, and they're all just accepting of who I am, and that's more than I could ever ask for in a group like this.
So for me, I'm a volunteer, and I got to form many relationships with other volunteers and other people within the cast.
So I found like friendships that I might have not found in high school, because while the people in high school were nice to me, they didn't always include me, and so I was left alone doing a lot of nothing. Whereas with artists, I found a lot more friends. I've also learned to work better with neurotypical people, and they kind of understood my situation of the story better than they might have several years ago, because many of them I had performed in shows with prior.
I then had the thought that, with how long some of these actors have been with Artists Unlimited, they must have some favorite shows that they've done. Out of all those shows, what has been your favorite show so far, and if you have a reason, why?
That's a couple of good ones that I loved. Definitely I had to do Little Mermaid was one of our favorites because I loved our duel scene. Beauty and the Beast was probably one of them because I loved being the Beast. I think another one I loved was when we did Mary Poppins, because I was such a comedic as Robert Zene. It's probably some of my favorites since I joined Artists Unlimited.
Okay, my absolute favorite was actually Beauty and the Beast, because, like I said before, I actually got to meet some new friends in that one. But what I didn't know was the fact that two of our friends we actually knew each other because we actually went to the same church.
Okay.
And it was so funny because they said they learned all the dancing for these shows from me, which is true. And I love every minute of it.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I have a few that I actually like. I mean, the first couple, I don't know if I'd put them high on my favorites list, because, again, I was still getting used to it. So I wasn't really as invested. Oh, that is hard. But I guess if I had to... Can I do a top 3? Sure. Alright, cool. So, top 3. Number 3 would be Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins was an absolutely fun show. I got to play a character I liked. I got to use an accent that I love. And it was just an overall fun time. The songs were great. The scenes were great. I just got to be myself while also becoming Mr. Banks, which was an amazing fun time. Number 2 would have to be Beauty and the Beast, without a doubt, because for similar reasons to Mary Poppins, but even more so. I got to be this character, which was a really fun one, that being Lumiere, and I got to work alongside Cody as Cogsworth. That was a heck of a lot of fun. I got to Be Our Guest, which was a fantastic experience. Working alongside all these people just really made that one extremely exciting to do. And I think it was one of our biggest shows ever, so thank you to the audience for coming out to see that show. It was a great time. Definitely my favorite show of all time that we've done so far. One of the future shows could top it, I don't know. But my favorite show up to this point has been our most recent one, that being The Little Mermaid. There was just so much energy that I felt I could put into this character of Sebastian, and it was yet another accent that I got to try out. And again, it really was because of the group as a whole that allowed me to really enjoy being this character. And I just got to do some of the big songs. And honestly, doing Under the Sea was probably my favorite moment of Artists Unlimited so far, because everybody was there, everybody was enjoying themselves, and I got to do a little improvised dancing, which the audience seemed to really get into, which was my goal. So, for those reasons, among many others, I'm sure, The Little Mermaid would definitely have to be my all-time favorite so far.
I really enjoyed Mary Poppins.
Any particular reason?
Um,
Other than the fact that I was your father?
I don't know. I guess I just really enjoyed it because it's like such a classical musical, not to be mixed with classical music. And like everybody knows it, everybody enjoys it, and whenever you bring it up, they're not like, what?
Probably Beauty and the Beast, because it really showcased everybody's ability the best, in my opinion.
I would have to agree because, well, first off, that's just like a really great musical. And you could see that everyone in the cast had a lot of fun with it. And I think the audience really enjoyed it too. They enjoy most shows, but I feel like Beauty and the Beast had a great impact on everyone.
Yep. I think that show might have been the moment when Artists Unlimited kind of went from this kind of small, run-together, volunteer group thing to this major theater program that has people of different varieties.
So it was Peter Pan. And I got a gift for Hannah because I flew her as Michael.
Okay.
And she had to pick up the teddy bear. So I ended up buying her this huge teddy bear. And when Dalton saw that, he wanted that teddy bear. And he tried to get me to give it to him. And I said, I can't. I bought this for Hannah, but it allowed me to see the genuine person that he was.
I don't know, it's always kind of like the last show is my favorite show, usually.
Like the most recent one?
Yes.
Well, I have two.
Peter Pan because of the bear.
Well, you're right. It was Peter Pan. It wasn't so much the bear, but and they're for two different reasons. One, I thought Peter Pan was just a great show. That was the first time that I really helped backstage. We had fly. That was the first time Artists Unlimited flew. Sammy did a great job as Peter Pan, and it was just a great production. And then the other one I think was Beauty and the Beast, because that show I think spoke to our cast.
Yeah.
For our cast, represented our cast, and as a parent, and I know there were a lot of other parents who were in the same shoes as we were, as a parent, I was moved by that performance because it really showed, I think, what a lot of people in our cast kind of struggle with in terms of social anxieties and things like that. So those were my two favorite.
The two shows that have just stood out to me were Mary Poppins and Little Mermaid. Both of them I thought were very strong acting shows as well as overall shows.
I then figured it appropriate to ask some of these actors, if they have a favorite show, what is their favorite character that they've played?
Of all the years I've done, I mostly became the bad guy. Like when I was in Cinderella, I got to be one of the stepsisters. In Annie, I got to be Miss Hannigan. I got to play Maisie LeBird. And recently I became Ursula, the Sea Witch.
Now, are you okay with playing characters like that all the time?
Not at all. I love it. It gets to be kind of a dark part of me. I'm usually sweet and kind and funny, but there are times where I get to show a bit of an attitude.
Well, like I said, I think if I had to rate the 4 characters that I did and rate them from highest to lowest,
Yeah.
I would put number 4, maybe Hook, because it took me a while to get into his character. 3 would probably be probably Robertson A. Then 2 would be, let's see, now definitely number 1 would be the Beast, and then number 2 would definitely have to be Chef Louis.
I did enjoy Prince Eric. That's more because I got to really dig deep into my acting abilities and see what I could do. However, okay. I also liked the things because they were really, really silly, and you didn't have to worry about messing up because anything you did could be in character.
Exactly. Well, for me, it probably would be, I guess, Neelius, the statue in Mary Poppins, because I didn't have a major part, but it gave me kind of like an open role, I guess, where, I could actually have decent choreography. I guess the other role would probably be Maurice, because, I got to show a real emotion, kind of, and of course that machine I was on, that was fun to drive.
I think my favorite was during Beauty and the Beast. I was a wolf and I got to attack him, which was really exciting for me to do it on stage because I like to do it off stage.
I mean, you can get away with it.
Yeah, I can get away with it this
Yeah,
time.
we can.
But then I began to wonder, after being in multiple shows and playing many characters, what changes have these actors seen in themselves thanks to being with Artists Unlimited?
I've had a much different approach to life now, so I have a much higher appreciation for everybody in every single community, and I really feel connected with the kids more, and I feel like they're like the friends you could always turn to no matter what, because they won't judge you.
The best way to describe how Artists Unlimited has changed me would, in a word, be acceptance, and that includes everyone in the group as well as myself. I was, again, as I mentioned earlier, I was very isolated. I wasn't hanging around a lot of people. I was often left out of things, so after a while, I didn't really trust people. I didn't really want to have anybody that wasn't already in my life come in, because I didn't want to risk getting hurt again. And on top of that, I hadn't really known too many people who had a disability, and just that year, I was diagnosed with mine. I wasn't really used to the idea of having anyone else around me have disabilities, because everyone else acted like they didn't have one, at least. But going into this group, I admit at first I was a little skeptical, because I was not used to people like this. As I quickly adapted to this theater group, I became a much more accepting person. And before I joined this group, I did not have a lot of confidence at all. It was not there. But these people showed me that I could accept myself for who I am, and I could be who I want to be, and these people showed me that it's okay to do that. I can just be myself, and people are going to be okay with that, because they know that being yourself is really the best thing you can be, is you. So that really was the biggest change Artists Unlimited has made in me.
Well, I used to be a bit of a shy girl in school until I got to be part of a show. I got to be more ambitious.
Personally, even though I was pretty open-minded before I joined the show because of my brother, the show has sort of changed the way I've looked at others, because I was exposed to more kinds of people.
It's made me more open to people, because I used to be very, very,
You kind of isolated yourself?
Yes, I was very isolated, and, whereas with artists, I've kind of found people that have similar interests to me that I know I can go to if I want to hang out.
It's kind of amazing to see. I mean, everyone has their different struggles in the cast, but when we all come together, everyone lets that go, and we're all just like one big family, and everyone's accepting, and it's really cool to see that, I think.
I think it's just helped me gain more confidence for my acting skills and my social skills. And I think it's helped me to understand more about that we with our autism and how just to be yourself.
I then decided to speak to the director, Mr. Carl Weger, and a couple of the parents to see how the group has changed as a whole over the years.
I think the group as a whole has changed dramatically. They have become much more stage savvy. They've become much quicker in the learning curve. The group as a whole has grown and has become more prestigious in its respect. And the main and lead actors are stronger every year simply from experience.
So we started watching. Our first show with where we saw artists was the group did Annie the first time they moved over to Kodak, and we didn't really know a whole lot about the program. We knew that Carl brought some folks in from Athena Middle School to be in the shows, but we didn't really know much about it. I think over those probably 8 years, we've seen the cast grow in confidence, diversity, and also in the talent. And these are all mostly the same performers that have been there since we started watching with Annie. But you could tell that it's just the program has resulted in such a great experience for our performers. They look forward to it. They put a lot of effort in, and they just have so much confidence on stage, much more than I think even when we started watching the shows 8 years ago.
I would just say because of everyone's confidence improving, I would say that they're able to show more of their abilities versus their disabilities, and that's kind of always amazed me, and more as we see the program grow. You almost don't know that the people, and some people in the audience have said that they don't realize that the people that are involved have any kind of disability. They just marvel at their talent.
And of course, a great show requires a great cast that can work together. So with all these great changes the cast are making for themselves, what are the interactions off of each other like?
Oh, everyone is like a big family. We just love to chit-chat when we have time, and we exchange each other how our days are. It's just like we're just regular normal people. You don't see anything different.
You could talk about the friendships that have developed off stage.
So like if you were to describe that, how would you do that?
I mean, I would say that's been one of the biggest benefits for Tyler especially, and in the fact that he has had some significant friendships develop off stage where you guys get together and you go and do things. You bowl, you guys go to the movies, go out to dinner, go to hockey games,
There's that whole panel thing we do.
Yes. I mean, and that's, so in that, I mean, it's not only beneficial to yourselves, but you're benefiting an entire community. So you're almost extending the message and the mission of spreading awareness and inclusion to the the community at whole. And so it's real special, I think, for me that Tyler has been able to have some significant friendships develop from it, and that you guys are still like I said, still, besides just your friendship, you're still giving back, and like you're doing the Polar Plunge, and that's supporting Special Olympics, and you're doing the forum, and that's again helping inform the public and advocating for yourselves, and promoting inclusion. And again, it speaks back to some of the missions of the program itself.
And I just think that watching Tyler through high school, and knowing that although he was not really bullied in high school, he really was, and people, you know, that he always had a place to sit at lunchtime, but he was never really engaged or included. People were they were nice to him in school, but they never engaged him outside of school, never included him in anything. And so for what's growing with Artists Unlimited is he has a good core group of friends that he never had before. You know, he was always looking for something to do, and it was pretty much him and me. So that's been nice for him. And
for us.
And for us. And, you know, the other thing, too, is Amanda Cahill is going to the prom with Anthony Vigneri. The fact that they're going to the prom together is
Yes,
just a huge...
Yeah, it fosters relationships outside of the program, and
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah. It really... I know it's hokey to say it, but Artists Unlimited really changes lives one act at a time. Yeah, I mean, it's true.
But it's true. Yes, we've seen it. We've seen it happen. It may sound hokey, but it really has had such an impact on so many lives, you know, including in our families, not just the performers, but the families too. I mean, we've developed friendships outside of the program, and it's impacted our lives and both of our children.
Yeah, that's the other thing is you don't usually, when you're in this community, in the autism community, siblings may not be included in things. Certainly, you know, we'll see where groups of families are all getting together, and for a long time we really haven't been a part of that. But, you know, what we're finding with artists is that, you know, there's, like Tina said, our friendships are growing too with parents and families.
Yeah, I've seen multiple times where some of the actors will be like, "Oh, I really want this role," and then they don't get it, but they're still happy for the person who did get it.
Absolutely. And that is one of the unique, positive things about this organization.
And with these positive and special interactions with each other, a sense of uniqueness for this group alone is demonstrated. But what would be the best way to describe what makes it and the cast all unique?
There is a level of excitement that is unparalleled.
I can attest to that.
Okay, the level of excitement that we gain in Artists Unlimited remind me of the middle school shows that I used to do, where the kids were just still young enough to be naive to just go for it, and they weren't so sophisticated that they were feeling stupid. So I just think we're at the right level, we're at the right place with these guys, and I think it's what makes it work. It's the magic of the theater. It's the energy level. Every year it's stronger, because every year the veterans are stronger. Every year the veterans take more risks. Every year the veterans invest in a greater way into their character. Every year the veterans sound better because they're more mature.
The thing that stands out the most is everyone's included. You don't have to look a certain way, act a certain way, have a certain talent. The group works with you to bring out your best abilities. Where in some of the school programs, it's very specific, very cliquey, and a lot of kids can't and don't participate because they're not welcome.
I just think that there's no drama in the drama department here with Artists Unlimited. Everybody helps each other, whether you have a disability or you don't. You know, they all look out for each other. You all help move people in their wheelchairs, and also the way that the directors work to help build that confidence and pull out from our performers what, they may not necessarily get that same level of attention in a school program. If you're not the star, you may just kind of be shuffled off into the ensemble and not get a lot of attention. That's regardless of disability, no disability, whatever it may be. And the directors, I think, have done a nice job of making sure that everybody's included too.
Now, unfortunately, just like anything else, everything must come to an end, even if only temporary. As some of the actors mention, the cast party at the end of the show is a bittersweet time for everyone.
Just thinking of all the accomplishments we've done, how I'm going to miss everyone before we have to wait until we see each other again. And then I think to myself, we did great. This is the best we've ever done.
The cast party. The cast party is a very bittersweet event because it's usually held immediately after the last performance of our most recent show. And of course, we celebrate that we got through another show, we eat pizza, maybe some other desserts, we have some really creative cakes. I wish I knew who made them, because they're really amazing every year. And there's of course a lot of music, so we're all dancing together, just having a good time. But at the same time, everybody knows that we're not going to see each other for months after this, because this is the last show. So while it is a time of celebration, it's also a time of sadness, at least for me, because I don't know about anyone else in the cast, but I am terrible at goodbyes. Like, I'm just not good with them. So having to have a celebratory dance party also be a bunch of farewells, it's really hard to deal with, because I don't want to say goodbye to any of these people. I just miss them during the off season, and I just really anticipate the next show so I can see everybody again.
For the first week to week and a half, maybe even 2 weeks, I'm like super bummed out because I don't have any more rehearsals to go to, and I'm like missing everybody there.
I do feel sometimes kind of sad because, you know, a lot of these people, this is pretty much the only thing they do, like, outside of their homes. So, just to not see them for a while does make me sad.
For me, when we are at the cast party, it's really exciting because you see how happy everyone is. And then, like he says, it's hard to think about, you know, Artists Unlimited sometimes is the only thing that they have. But that's also what makes it so special. I think it's what makes the relationships even stronger too, because we see each other from August to November, and then once in February, and then it starts all over again. And, you know, the fact that you can just come back to these people and they're ready with open arms again after months and months of not seeing you, it just shows, like, once again, the amount of acceptance within the program.
Thankfully, the sadness quickly turns into excitement as actors await the announcement of the next show and seeing each other again throughout the whole off-season.
I was thinking, is it going to be a good show? How are people going to react to this show? Is this the right show for our program?
I'm thinking like, yes, come on, or I think I might have a hunch, but I don't want to say anything yet. Back in the old times, we used to have permission to question and like try to guess, but I guess we're not doing that a lot anymore, which is such a bummer because that was fun. Oh well.
Yeah, it gives it more of a surprise factor.
True.
Well, to tell you the truth, I really don't care what kind of show we do. As long as we get to do it together, I'm fine with it.
What is going through my mind during the off-season? Really, during the off-season, there is a ton of speculation, and I mean a ton. Because even right after the last performance of the previous show, my mind is already going through, okay, what are we going to do next? Because they usually announce that in February or March. And those entire months, I'm thinking, okay, have there been any hints that have dropped? Or anything that I've detected that could give me an idea of what the show could be? And based on how likely I think the show is going to be a certain thing, I will then start to speculate a little bit, okay, who could I see as this character, or who would be the best at this other character? Come the day they announce the show, and they tell us what it is, I then now know what the show is, so I'm really starting to dive in to who could I see being certain characters. So that's really what the off-season is like for me. Other than, like, school, I'm just speculating what the next show is going to be and who's going to be what. Let's see, right before the next show is announced, everybody has gathered and started to catch up because we hadn't seen each other since November, at least officially. At first, we're just talking, see how everybody is. If they're in school, like I am, at least up until I graduate this May. they'll be like, oh, how's school been? How has the homework load been? Have you had any days off recently? And then come towards the end of the whole reunion that day, our musical director, Sarah Stabell, she will come up front and everybody cheers because they know exactly what's about to happen. So then she'll go into the usual things like saying it has a lot of great costumes, a lot of great songs, a lot of great characters, and of course it's 100% true every single time. But then you'll notice she starts to drop little hints. Like with Little Mermaid, she started to use a lot of water-based puns, which was awesome. And at first I hadn't really thought they were going to do Little Mermaid that year, because I was speculating other shows. And now, with this most recent announcement of Shrek, she started talking about layers and how they related to like parfaits or cakes. And honest to God, I was already on the ball as to what the show was going to be when she said layers. Because how many other shows do you know where they talk about something having layers? The moments right before she announces what the show is going to be, and she's dropping hints and such, it's like, oh, I think I know what it is, I think I know what it is. And then right as she announces it, everybody's happy. Everyone is just excited for the next show. And of course, right after that, people are just thinking, ooh, who's going to be what? Who's going to portray this character? But yeah, that's essentially what it's like. And all of that excitement builds up to the big reveal of the next show, like you witnessed at the very beginning of this video.
So, do you want to know about the show? Yeah! This show has amazing characters. This show has phenomenal sex. This show has crazy cool costumes. This show has amazing dancing. This show has such fantastic music. It has so many layers. It's like an onion. This show is
So after I finished asking all of my interviewed volunteers questions, I opened the floor to them for anything they wanted to say. These were their closing statements.
I always, when I talk about the shows to people, say at work, people who are familiar with the program, I just always explain to them how amazed they will be by the performers, the quality of the shows is just above and beyond what you normally get to see, and that comes from the performers, the volunteers, and the sponsors. And what started in a small basement room in the German House now fills an entire huge theater, and it's way worth the price of admission.
I always used to say Artists Unlimited was the best kept secret in Rochester. I'm glad to say that it's not nearly as good a secret as it used to be, which is evidenced by the size of our audiences, the awareness that people see our logo and our name, and they're very familiar with the program. So I think that's been great. We have Paul Rubin, known as the Fly Guy. He's flown people on Broadway. He's flown people all over the world, and he's told us that we're just a smidge shy of being a really good regional theater company, which for our program, which is mostly managed by volunteers who just give their hearts, and we don't charge our cast to participate. Everything is funded through community and individual sponsorships and donations. But like Tina said, it's definitely the best ticket price for the show you're going to get. It's just great quality. My coworkers, anytime they've come to see the show, they tell me when they see me the following Monday at work how they burst into tears, and they were just amazed and thought it was a great experience. So I highly recommend you come and see us.
I guess my advice to you is stay true to yourself, be happy for what you got, and if you get that goal of becoming an actress, just be true and sing with all your heart.
My advice would just be for come see the shows, just come see it, and come to see what's different. Have fun. Don't have to be a judge of whatever you see. Just have fun. And for people with autism, don't try to judge them from the outside. Try to see what they're like from the inside. So don't judge them from their outer shell. Try to see how their feelings are like, because they're normal people too. They just have something that is keeping them from trying to explain it, even though they try their best to do it.
Artists Unlimited is a very unique theater group because you wouldn't normally see these type of people on Broadway or something. They would be counted out by most directors because they have a disability or they don't look like they're performance material. But with artists, you can see that they are indeed performance material. And we usually put on a very good show. Many people have said that our shows may be better than others.
Artists Unlimited is probably one of the best things I've ever been a part of.
I agree. It's also been one of the best things I've been a part of.
I look forward to Artists Unlimited maybe as much as the others do because of how amazing it is, and the shows are just incredible. If you want to come see it, I highly recommend it.
And I think the other thing is our Artists Unlimited is mostly based in the Rochester area, but I think in the future we need to create groups like this in other parts of the country so that we can have these theater programs or just programs in general that basically have the inclusion of developmentally disabled people and what you would call neurotypical people in one big environment, because a lot of neurotypical people will typically avoid the developmentally disabled.
It changes many people's outlooks, and it's just really, really, really special.
There are some things, yes, that I would like to add, as well as encouraging people to come see the shows. When it comes to things I want to add, I do want to say first and foremost that I would not be where I am today without Artists Unlimited, no question. There have been several times where I felt like the struggles were too great, or that the obstacles were too high for me to overcome. But this theater group just keeps pushing me forward, and I cannot thank them enough for that. They help me feel like I'm worth something. They help me feel like I actually matter. So I encourage people, if you can find some group like this, or even just one person who is able to make a huge positive difference in your life like I have, then don't lose them, whatever you do. They will help you get through so much. They will always be there for you, and you can always be there for them, and you'll just have that constant bond, knowing that you always have somebody who has your back. I do heavily encourage people to come see this show. You will get a unique experience that you will not get anywhere else. And what I mean by that is, a lot of theater groups, they won't take people like this because they think they are incapable of performing to their standards. But this group is here to prove them wrong. I have seen, through the years that I've been there, I have seen so many people grow and exceed expectations. And some people, they'll come into the show just thinking, oh, it's just going to be another theatrical production. I'm just going to take my child to this show because they like this movie or something. But then they walk out and they're just so moved at what this group does. This group is so supportive, so selfless. Whenever something happens for a particular person, they don't feel jealous. They just feel supportive for them. And I didn't really see that anywhere else until I met these people. So if you want to see that displayed on stage, I heavily advise you to come see these shows. And before I close today, I would like to just close with a quote by Johnny Depp, because like all these amazing people that I've talked about, this quote has gotten me through a lot. And it goes, "One day, the people who didn't believe in you will tell everybody how they met you."
As I said, they're like really supportive in everything they do, and nobody really says you did this wrong except for Mr. Way, because that's what he has to do.
He's the director, yeah.
Nobody says like, this is what you did wrong. They always said, this is what you do right, this is what you can improve on. So like, it's just a very friendly atmosphere.
So what do you want to say then to the people who have not seen a show yet?
Oh, definitely come. Don't worry about who's in the show. Don't worry about what the show is. Just come and see it. You'll be amazed. It's absolutely magical.
The way that anybody can come see the show is, or basically you can come ask me, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on with this show, and if you ask me, there's only one way for you to go through this is like, first you can get tickets for this, or if you want to be in it, you can go through like an audition or something, and it's a big thing. And if anybody tells you that you can't do something to prove them wrong.
So this is for your project for your college, right?
Yes.
What do I want to add? First of all, I will say, vocally, you have an outstanding instrument that is natural. That's the key to a good success in performance, as a person who has a natural instrument that doesn't have to worry about their production. Secondly, you have the ability to hone into a character like very few people can do. You have the ability to find who the motivation behind the person. You have the ability to find whether it's comedic or whether it's straight type of thing. You can find what it has to be, and you have the ability to put the excitement into the character where it needs to have that excitement. Without tooting your horn to you, but you're probably one of the most professional actors that I could talk about. You remind me of a couple of my former students who actually are now professional actors. Your versatility and your commitment to the character, it's natural. It's effortless for you. You just go for it.
The people that know me know that I'm into quotes. We've been doing quotes on the radio for a long time, and I pulled out a couple quotes that I think are very appropriate for Artists Unlimited. And I think this one says it all in terms of what they're doing. And the quote is, "Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places that you can, at all the times you can, helping all the people you can, as long as you ever can." And you need to remember that you can make a difference. It doesn't matter how young or how old you are. You can make a difference, and you can help either by donations or with your time, or just coming, buying a ticket and watching the show. Make a difference. Help Artists Unlimited, because they're helping so many people.
Hold it! Before you go anywhere, before you have any applause, I have one last surprise for you.
I feel like you're my director for this stuff.
Kind of, sort of. Why is no sound coming? Hang on.
Oh, God.
Technical glitch.
Or
See, my computer's being stupid. Okay, for real, for real.
Okay, take two.
Sorry, that was my ring.
Okay.
Some of this is probably going down a blooper reel.
Wait, there's a for real?
There may or may not be, depending on how much footage I get.
Okay.
I just gotta get my back. Be with you in a second. Okay. Oh, ow. Oh, I think I did a little too much there. Whew. Okay.
I remember when we started working together, you had great hesitation. You were always doubting yourself. You were always downing yourself, saying, Yeah, sorry about the clock. And then I remember getting you past that. I remember getting you confident with your voice because you have a great instrument. And it took me a bit to get you to that place to trust your voice. You want me to wait till that's done?
Yeah, we can start that part over if
Okay.
that makes it easier.
For you. Okay.
You all help move people in their wheelchairs. You'll have to edit this a little bit out.
Oh yeah, I can do that. Like when I was interviewing Mr. Wagner, his grandfather clock right next to us went off. So.
Well, Tyler's grandfather clock just went off. Anyway,
That was fantastic.
Yes!
Oh hey,
What?
the camera was not recording.
It wasn't recording that?
Nah, I'm kidding. It was.
Don't do that to me! Dude, don't do that to me!
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all that we have time for today. But before we go, the cast of Artists Unlimited would like to say one more thing to you.
1. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the...
Thank you, guys.